Now, we've told you that we have been tracking the relationship of funding and George Soros, and funding going to groups like Black Lives Matter from George Soros, money coming from George Soros to Antifa. We've shown you the evidence, both in recent shows, and they're still available at blazetv.com on demand. In our research, we came across a speech that George Soros gave in January of this year. And in that speech, Soros actually acknowledged some of Trump's successes. But then I think he slipped. He said this, quote, "The stock market already celebrating Trump's military successes. It's breaking out to reach new heights. If all of this happened closer to the elections, it would have assured his re-election. The problem is that the elections are still 10 months away, and in a revolutionary situation, that is a lifetime." End quote. What revolutionary situation were we in January? What was he referring to? Because the timing is fascinating. Here it is, January, a month before coronavirus, and 4 months before the death of George Floyd. Did Soros just get lucky? Is he like Karnak? Can he predict the civil unrest that's been going on now for the past 3 months in advance? Here we have Soros, in his own words, publicly admitting the roaring economy was actually, quote, a problem, and that only a revolution could stop his re-election. Now, why do they really want him out? Because Donald Trump stands in the way of this global governance. Now, I know this sounds weird, but it gets even weirder when you consider where George Soros was speaking. His speech was in Davos while attending the World Economic Forum. Now, where have we heard about them recently? Oh, that's right. They're the ones that bankrolled Event 201, right? As in the same meeting where they wanted to push the merger of government and private businesses in response to the coronavirus. As in the same event led by members of the UN's Agenda 2030, those guys. I told you everyone and everything is connected here. It is crazy. So what is the World Economic Forum? Well, they're a collaboration of obscenely rich businessmen and powerful government officials that attempt to guide the global economy. It was established 50 years ago by a German economist and engineer. His name is Klaus Schwab. From their website, the very first line says it all. The World Economic Forum is the international organization for public-private cooperation. Now, it's the same thing they said in the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN's Agenda 2030, and then later on, the attendee said that at Event 201. No matter how they try to, put lipstick on this, it's still really a pig. It means one thing: National Socialism. It's the closest that you would recognize. I'll show you why later in the show. Every year, thousands of the elite, representing the most powerful businessmen and corporations and governments in the world, meet in Davos, Switzerland, to map out all of the little people's fates. George Soros speaks every year and is listed as one of their agenda authors. The full list of attendees is way too long to list, but it includes presidents, prime ministers, the head of the European Commission, the head of the European Central Bank, the director of the International Monetary Fund, the CEOs, the head of OPEC, NATO, WHO, Interpol, even the U.S. Treasury Secretary was there. For years, their annual event has been protested by groups all over the world. They were the ultimate boogeyman for the left, the top 1% having secret meetings to leverage their evil ideology, capitalism, to suppress everyone else, or something. Is that what's been going on? Climate change recently has brought a big change. The main focus now is climate change in their meetings. The theme of their meeting this past January was how to change the system to something called progressive capitalism. Now, if that sounds like an oxymoron, well, that's because it is. There are 4 points of progressive capitalism. Here's number 1. Business to stop centering on profit. To shift money to climate change, local communities, and shareholders. Governments will regulate all of the above. a larger welfare state and more regulation of the markets. The state needs to be at the center of everything. And number 4, social justice and green initiatives government will regulate. So let me see here. Heavy government regulation on private businesses, forcing them into compliance, whose funds go into a local national government program fueling giant welfare state, and the state is at the center. That's Germany, 1940. I mean, hello. What's interesting is that the WEF's founder, a German born in 1930s, can't see this. Or maybe he can. Everyone thought the leaders in Davos were evil capitalists, but it turns out, no, they want this National Socialist kind of thing all along. I don't know why, but it should have been obvious from the beginning. One of their top members and policy advocates is the former president of Costa Rica. Today, he is a global leader pushing for climate change options like the Green New Deal. His political party, the National Liberation Party, is a full-fledged member of the worldwide socialist conglomerate called Socialists International. He was actually handpicked by the WEF's founder to succeed him as director. That idea was later scrapped when it was revealed that his chosen successor was hoarding nearly $1 million in undisclosed payments. What? A socialist hoarding secret piles of cash? Gotta be fake news. Another WEF member and policy advocate is current Costa Rican President Carlos Quezada. He's helping push a forum initiative called A New Deal for Nature. Sound familiar? It's kind of like all the socialists and progressives pull words out of the same red handbook. Quezada's political party is called the Citizens Action Party. They're a member of the worldwide conglomerate called the Progressive Alliance. Who are they? Well, from their own founding document, quote, "The Progressive Alliance is a network which is open to progressive, democratic, social democratic, socialist, labor parties, and party networks." I mean, are there any people that work at the World Economic Forum that aren't socialists? I mean, can we check the janitors? This is the organization that leftists have been calling evil capitalist. But as I said earlier, things are changing. And this year, some of the masks have come off. The co-founder of Occupy Wall Street, Mika White, she attended Davos this year in January, but check out what she said. Quote, "Rejecting Davos is easy when you haven't been invited. Now that I have a chance to go, I want to discover its revolutionary potential," end quote. They all now realize that the World Economic Forum has been one of their allies the entire time. They all want the same thing. Global socialism? Yes, more in a second.